You know,
You got two spicy.
Yeah,
You
that's
got the
even worse.
spiciest
That's
guys
even
or
worse.
whatnot. So we're
right.
not. We're gonna try to keep it PC for you, but
I'm really trying. Right. I know. I'm trying.
spiciest on
Yeah.
on
So
the app.
Hey, Media Mail Gang, it is Katie with Katie Reads, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I resell used books and ephemera on multiple platforms, and we talk about that here on this channel. But today we're talking about something a little different. Today is kind of Katie Reads After Dark. We're talking about some selling magazines, specifically Playboy and other I guess other brands of magazines. You guys would say that you kind of do a little bit of everything. And we're going to introduce these guys here. First, we have STL Bookkeeper, and I'll let him introduce himself real quick.
Hey, I'm STL Bookkeeper. STL Bookkeeper on YouTube, WhatNot, and IG. So
And then we have Earth.
what's going on? Earth1 comics and collectibles on Instagram. Don't have a YouTube yet, but yeah, you can catch me on most platforms. Earth1 comics and collectibles.
And on WhatNot. That's where you do most
Yeah,
of
on
your
WhatNot. WhatNot for sure. WhatNot for
most
sure.
important.
Most important WhatNot for sure. Most important.
Okay. All right. But my first question for you guys is talking about WhatNot. Okay. So you're both on WhatNot. Would you say that's your like kind of primary platform for both of you?
Yes, yes. WhatNot is my primary platform.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%.
So how did you find out about WhatNot, and what about that platform was most appealing to where you decided, yeah, I wanna sell on there? I'll let STL go first.
Okay, so my journey was a little different. Maybe I started with regular books. In a book group that I joined about a year and a half ago, and I never sold books before that. But I was on eBay selling, and then a situation happened on eBay. Long story, put it on my YouTube channel. But I started making things happen with Whatnot, where I started selling books on there. But I did two shows on there, and then I switched into a very spicy subject, which was Playboys, and the rest was history.
But what about WhatNot did you think like most appealing to you, besides the fact of like maybe your situation with eBay? Was
Yeah,
there any certain features about the
yeah.
platform you
A
liked?
lot. It's a lot of features about the platform I like. I like the live selling aspect. I love that I can bring my personality to the camera. I've always
Right.
been a really big personality in my friend groups, so it's really cool to bring that to a large group of people that I've never met before and meet new people. But I also love the payout situation with Whatnot. It's a very, very, very sweet payout situation where you get paid immediately after your show. So that is a really cool. Of course, you have to get to 1,000 sales, but after you get to 1,000 sales, you get paid immediately after your show. So that is my favorite feature about Whatnot. It's like it's great for resellers who honestly buy a lot and buy in bulk. So.
Right. So that's helpful with cash flow, getting new
Mhm.
inventory, being able to do consistent multiple sales, everything like that. We lost
Yeah,
Earth. I'm sure he'll be back.
yeah, he'll be back. He'll be back.
Next question is, you said you started with books.
Mhm.
So what made you kind of decide to transition to magazines and then that type of magazine?
So really, it's more like just throwing a bunch of stuff at the wall and seeing what works. That's usually been my approach to most all of
Okay.
my journey of reselling and just entrepreneurship. It's mainly just throwing stuff at the wall and trying things and really having that good feel when something's not working and changing direction. So basically, I tried a couple book shows and I started selling yearbooks. I tried to niche down to yearbooks on Whatnot,
Okay.
which it is a market for, but it's just a smaller market that takes a very, very like I want to say niche down sourcing. The sourcing for it is just a very hard sourcing thing for what someone specifically needs right then and there. So it's a little different. So I tried to niche down, but keep it still broad. And I came across some Playboy magazines, and shout out to Common Ground Finds. I hit him up and asked him to do the sale, and he actually reached back immediately because I'm in the paper gold book group, which is an awesome book group. And he reached back immediately and let me know that they definitely do sell. And he suggested I should buy them. So I definitely bought them for like way more than you definitely should buy them. But I didn't know at the time. And but I ended up still profiting off of them. And I said, you know what? This works. You know, this works.
Awesome. So Earth is back to Earth.
All right, I'm back.
Yeah, we got him back.
Well, how did you find out about WhatNot, and what was most appealing to you about the platform?
Okay. Well, like 2 years ago, a friend of mine, he's a streamer on WhatNot as well. What's poppin'? You know, I bring him up all the time when I'm streaming. Yeah, he's like my brother in real life. You know what I'm saying? Like he's a really good friend of mine. So I've always just been a collector, but I never really collected like magazines per se. You know what I'm saying? I collect the comics and toys and all that. You know, like most people. And I had surgery, so I was out of work for like 6 months. And he was like, "Man, you should just, you know, we be up late nights anyway. Like, just get on there and start, you know, selling stuff." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "This app called WhatNot." I'm like, "Man, WhatNot sounds crazy." Like most people when they're like, "What are you talking about? WhatNot? That shit sounds stupid." You know what I mean? Yeah. And I was like, "All right, well, I'll check it out." And if you were on WhatNot 2 years ago, it was like the Wild West.
It was.
You know what I'm saying? Like you could do.
Yeah, since 2022. So.
Okay, so you know. Yeah. So I mean, I got on there and I was just selling comics at first, you know, because comics is like I know comics more than I know almost anything. I mean, I know a lot about cars, but comics I know more about anything. So I was doing that, and I got a collection of comics, and the guy I bought the comics from had a bin of Playboys, and I was like, you know, I guess, and I tried it, and I sold all of them. I was like, oh shit, all right. and we've been on ever since. You feel me? But that's literally
Would you say the live selling feature is pretty much what brought you to the platform?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
100%.
I think while they have the marketplace, I mean, do you guys even utilize the marketplace? Do you do any static listings, or is it just auctions?
It's just auctions right now for me.
Yeah, well, I have a few in my buy it now, but it's just more of some bigger items to just try to move, you know, if someone wants. But it's not something that I use, and I don't really get buy it now, you know, purchases really. So
Right. Yeah. The next question for you, Earth, because STL already answered this. Well, I guess you kind of answered it. So you transitioned to magazines after comics. Do you still do comics?
Yeah, I still do comics. I mean, I was doing comics the first 9 months. I was doing WhatNot maybe 10 months. I was just doing comics and selling slabs and stuff and raw comics. And I still do comics now. Like I do mostly adult comics now because that's kind of where the market is. If you're people who are watching, check out WhatNot, they'll see like there's tons of sellers, comic sellers, Funko sellers, you know, so you have to kind of find your lane, you know what I mean? And that probably transitions to other questions that you'll have later, but that's just, you know, that's part of the game. But yeah, so, you know, I was doing that and I found a bunch of buyers and I found a bunch of people who still come in, and STL knows he be in the chat and then they'll come in and be like, "Damn, Unc, what's good? You still cooking?" I'm like, "Yeah, after 2 years." And they like, "Fuck, this is crazy." Like, these be like my first and second buyers. You feel me? Like, they're still with us. It's dope.
Yeah, pretty dope.
So for those watching, slabbed is kind of like the term for getting something graded, right?
Right.
Okay. My next question for you guys is, you guys have been doing this a while now, so you really have to, you have those faithful buyers that are going to show up for you no matter what, but like attracting in the new buyers means you have to understand the buyer, understand the market, like what Earth was kind of talking about. So what like category of people are you typically selling to, would you say? Is it like the collectors, the resellers, people that just, you know, buy them for hobby or for haha funny stuff? You know, what do you think you guys are mostly selling to? I'll let STL go first.
So
Yeah.
I think I basically have a large range of different people. It depends on the season. It's really cool. Yeah, last year was my first year selling on WhatNot, and I was so, the first month I tried to sell books, and then the last 11 months I tried to sell magazines. So I got just the beginning part of what the seasons change were. And around Christmas and holiday time, I had people buying holiday presents for people for the birth year. Sometimes people wants to buy just their birth year, or the anniversary year. It's meaningful years that people want, and they look for those years. Or then you have those people that just want to buy for their collection and they want to get it slabbed. So I have a large range, and I'm sure Earth is the same, but I don't know. He definitely has a large group of people. So
Yeah. What would you say, Earth?
I mean, it's kind of the same. Like you said, there's seasons of it, but I have a lot. Like I have a ton, at least 100 reoccurring buyers every month. You know what I'm saying? Whether they're
Wow.
resellers or like, I mean, I'm not gonna name drop them, but like there are people who just come in because they're looking for like the most exotic shit that you can find. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter what it is. You feel me? Like it doesn't matter what it is. The crazier, the better. You feel me? And these aren't resellers. These are just collectors who are like,
yeah.
nah, I just like this shit because it's crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And they don't make this kind of stuff anymore. Back in the from the early 1900s to like the 70s, shit was kind of crazy in magazines and in media. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So like you could do way more risque stuff than they are allowing you to. Hell, now for sure. But even in the
Mhm.
90s,
Yeah.
when we as kids thought, oh my God, Carmen Electra, she's got like a bikini on. Oh my God, it's crazy because it's like a thong. But like there are some stuff that I've seen from the like 50s and
Yeah.
it's that's you wouldn't believe what your great grandma was doing. You know what I'm saying? You would not believe you. I can't even say it because I don't want you to get demonetized. But that's how crazy
I
it gets.
appreciate that. I appreciate
Really
that.
how crazy. So just take your wildest imagination and then go farther than that. And
Mhm.
that's the stuff that
He's not
and
lying.
that's the stuff that's the stuff people pay big money for as well. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to necessarily give away the sauce, but like that's what people are looking for, the like exotic,
Sure.
things that are hard to find. And that's the name of, any game, even in comics. Like I learned that as a child, like the more exotic books, that's why Superman #1 and shit like that is so expensive because,
Mhm.
you found it, those really taboo books, most people didn't get those. A couple people would get them and then they would hide them shits because if they mom or anybody saw them, they'd be like, have this man committed. So it's not like finding a Playboy. You can find hundreds of Playboys, but some of these more way more exotic books, they're like a needle in a haystack. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm. Definitely.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah. Would you say like Fangoria kind of falls under that too, and like
A
certain
little bit,
horror-ish kind of like
a
where
little, a
horror
little
and
bit.
exotic
Yeah,
go together?
100%, 100%, 100%. They're kind of
Mhm.
hand in hand. Like that's why the Fangoria books, they're kind of expensive. If you try to buy them outside of me and STL, they're not.
Mhm.
We try to set the market on things just so everybody can have a chance to buy something. With most collectibles, like trying to buy a Babe Ruth rookie card is expensive as fuck for most people in 2025. But like you can come to one of our streams and find a Donald Trump book that's a $300 magazine and you can buy it for $80. Like
As far as like recommendations on how to source, what would you recommend? Like how to
have
buy
luck,
cheap?
have luck, buy cheap as possible.
Sourcing is always, with reselling, sourcing is like the most trickiest thing, no matter what category you're in. You know what I mean? So it's like that's the name of the game. You know what I mean? Sourcing is the name of the game, and it's a lot of options for sourcing, but sourcing for magazines in particular, it's not something like that you can really sell outly. Like you can't really have a Playboy magazine yard sale. Really, like you don't really see those too often. So, but sometimes you can come across them, maybe, but they're not advertising it. So it's like one of those things. It's something you're actively always looking for and actively always on the hunt of like on the road or just going to look for a pickup. Like me and Earth always talk back and forth, and we're always on the road going somewhere across the country
Facts.
doing a pickup. So it's like one of those
I'm on the
things like
pickup now.
yeah. So I just did a pickup yesterday, so I'm good for a day. But I'm still looking though. It's not like that. I take off looking. That's the biggest thing I can give on sourcing is never take time off looking for sourcing. I got this saying I say with my partner, with my wife. I say ABS, always be sourcing. ABS, always be sourcing. I say I'm gonna make some hats that ABS hat.
Well, that's
Because
right.
that's the name of the game. It's always be sourcing. So that's the biggest tip I can give, just to always be on the hunt.
Agreed. And try to build a network. Like I have a network of people who like, I don't want to say they work for me, but they like work for me. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
I got a
Mm-hmm.
friend, he's like my brother. Like he'd be on stream with me every now and again, and he drives a big rig. And like anywhere he goes, he looks for books for me. You know what I'm
Nice.
saying? But it's hard to find people who love you as much as who love what you're doing as much as you do, if that makes sense. Because like normal people won't do that for you. You know what I'm saying? He's not my brother, but he's like my brother. And literally, he's in Cincinnati right now, and he's like, "Shit, I'm gonna do a pickup for you tomorrow, my man."
Wow.
You know, so
Wow.
like you have to build a network. Like I have family in New York, North Carolina, like Atlanta, like everywhere. I'm always like people are always sourcing for me, even if it's 10 books. You know what I'm saying? Like because like I said, I like monthly. I mean, I don't know. I sell. I don't know, maybe 1,000. Maybe 1,500 books a month. So like, it's a lot of books that we
Wow.
chew through in the chat. So like,
That's a lot to
always
go
be
through.
sourcing. Like he said, always be sourcing. Like with my wife, we have specific days that I'm allowed to like do this because it's an all day. Like this is an all day thing. This is an everyday thing. Like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that probably leads into another question that you'll ask later. But like this isn't like a hobby for me or for STL. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like especially if you want to be successful at it, this can't really be a hobby per se. Like I make
Yeah.
this fun,
Yeah.
and like
Oh yeah.
I find it also as a hobby because like I found like Epic Monsters #1. Like that's like a $1,000 book. Like I found that in the collection, and I keep that kind of shit. So this is fun for me. But to
Mm-hmm.
be successful at it, like he said, you got to always be sourcing. That's part of the reason I quit my full time job. So I don't need
Yeah,
like I had to quit
you
my
have
full
to
time
do it.
job to do this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I totally agree.
So, do you have
So,
any
yeah.
tips on like negotiating?
Mm-hmm.
Or let's say I'm on Facebook Marketplace and someone has some books. How do I inquire about condition? Like what's good, what's bad? Um, and like what would I negotiate as far as price? Because condition
What did I
condition
say?
kind of goes hand in hand with that price, right?
Yeah, definitely. See, negotiating, I can definitely speak a little more on because I've been negotiating for years. I think people should definitely look into. If you're a reseller, you definitely should check out just look up any negotiating books you can because they definitely help. Just little extra tactics that just normally the normal person wouldn't know. Definitely does play a huge part. Like just over, if we're talking just online. When you start off talking to someone, you want to start off by asking, about the condition, and you want to start asking how many they have and exactly what exactly do they have and what years, if you're doing magazines, because certain years are worth more than other years. 50s, 60s, 70s worth more than 2000 from 2010. That is a really common time for Playboy, so they're worth
Right.
way less so and way more common. So if you're looking to buy a collection, if someone has from 1980 to 2010, you would want to pay a little less. If somebody had from 1950 to say 1980, that would be a different price range you would want to start off on negotiating with. But negotiating is a tactic where you don't want to offend anybody. So it's a
Right. Right.
very thin line you can walk. It's been negotiations where I've gotten really good deals where someone wanted $1,000 for 600 700 magazines, and I offered them 350, and they accepted it. So it's like it's dependent on you gotta
Wow.
sometimes yes, dependent on I do research on like the individual profile because I'm on Facebook Marketplace. So kind of get a little bit of like what type of person this person is and kind of like go from there. And sometimes you hit it right on the nail. Sometimes it's a little bit off. But one thing I can say, the best time to negotiate is around the holidays. That is the biggest hack I can tell someone is
Wow.
negotiating around the holidays because it is one line that I would give somebody is to always mention it's great for extra holiday spending money for presents. For it's tugging on people's kind of like that string of people's heartstrings around the holidays of wanting to give to their family a little bit more, which helps them out. You're just basically expressing things that they should be thinking about already about moving out old trash that they don't want no longer
Yeah.
need for
Absolutely.
and buying things for their family. So I basically just put it in perspective for people like that around the holidays, which is I get some of the best collections around the holidays. It's like one of my favorite times to buy buy collections. So yeah, it's negotiating is a very fun part of reselling for me. I really enjoy negotiating. It's one thing me and my wife we go back and forth about, and I kind of quiz her on and try to keep her on her toes, which helps me keep me on my toes. So
That's what's up.
negotiating is really a big part of reselling. But you can also pay you can also pay a little bit more when you get to a point where you have somewhere you can really resell it. So that's
Yeah.
pretty much where you want to get to eventually anyway.
Yeah. And those listings, you don't know how long they've been up.
Hmm.
So I also feel like sometimes people think, oh, these are Playboys. I'm going to get so much money
Hmm.
on Facebook for, and they don't do the research. They just make assumptions because it's
Yep.
Playboy
Yep.
and it sits and sits and sits.
Hmm.
And so that's when you kind of have the opportunity to swoop in
Yep.
and make some good negotiations. So that's actually a really good tip though. So thank you for
No
that.
problem.
I mean,
No
that's even
problem.
helpful for me because, always sourcing, always inquiring, always checking out different things and different
Hmm. Always learning
stuff
different techniques.
beyond books. So
Hmm.
I'll never forget this though. My dad was at an estate sale and it was towards the end of the estate sale. It was the last day, and they had a ton of Easy Rider magazines, and they were just giving them away,
Hmm.
giving away all the adult magazines, all like everything that was
Yeah.
pretty much in the basement. So like that's another thing
That's
too.
how
Is like if you're outsourcing at estate sales
yeah.
and you see different magazines and different stuff, you never know what you're going to come across. So
Hmm.
diversifying the type of sourcing that you do is really important too. You
Hmm.
never know what you might find. We lost Earth again, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
He'll be back. I'll ask him questions when he pops back in.
Yeah.
Um, I think my next question for you guys was just selling on Whatnot in general. Do you have any just general tips that you would give somebody if someone was interested in selling on Whatnot?
Yeah, that's great. That's a great question. Yeah, it's a lot of little tips. I've been on Whatnot only for a year and a half, but I've found just a few things that has helped me on Whatnot is being consistent on streaming. When you pick a day that you're gonna stream, you want to do it like consistently that same day. If you start off with one day, which is fine, just do that one day every week or every month at that same day, just to help you build some consistency with your audience. But one thing other than that, which that's just the basics, I would say go into the category you are deciding to want to sell in and start to kind of communicate with those streamers and with the chat in those streamers chat and kind of start to follow them and kind of reach out to them and let them know that you have future shows, which is a very cool thing now because Whatnot had a feature where it was kind of like spam if you message too many people in one day, but now I believe they took that feature off, so now you can kind of message as many people as you would like.
That's good.
And yeah, that is a new feature that which is really cool. And I think I use that quite a bit and still to this day I have thousands of followers on Whatnot, but still I try to go in and still get new people and still try to find those that audience because I have a stream almost every day, and I get at least 2 new buyers each stream. So it's not a day that I don't go by and don't get a new stream, new buyer. So it's still a growing platform. So I would say you want to definitely get on and just get inside those chats and start to meet people and start to build that following and start to, really communicate with the audience, because you really can meet some really awesome people on the app. I've met some really amazing people. So it's really a cool app.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point about it being a continually growing app, and the fact that you're getting a couple new buyers every single stream. That's actually a really, really good
Yeah, it's
growth
really awesome.
percentage. I mean, that's actually really great. Hey, Earth is back. There he is. Some questions I had asked STL. How do you kind of inquire on condition and negotiate accordingly, with that? What do you consider good condition, bad condition? Are there red flags that you look for? How do you kind of handle that?
Oh God. Well, I try to ask as many questions as possible. Never, no question is bad,
Okay, that's good.
because
That's important because
it
I
was
think a lot of people are afraid
there,
to ask.
right, and sometimes it can get intimidating, because I mean, people are people, and even it's just like reading a text message from your girlfriend. If you read it, depending on how you read it, it can come off kind of rude. So always be thinking about that, because I mean,
She meant it
I can
rude,
message
Earth. She
aggressively
meant it
sometimes.
rude.
Huh?
I said she meant it how you read it, Earth. She meant it rude.
Probably,
I'm just
probably.
saying.
Most of the time she did, but not seriously. So I really just try to ask as many questions as possible, and then if people are adamant about it, explain to them, shit. I don't live up the street, so I'm gonna be in town, and I don't want to waste your time or mine.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Really good point.
Remind people, I don't want to waste your time is as valuable as mine is, because I can give you damn near a dollar amount for the amount I charge per hour. You know what I'm saying? So
No, for
I
real.
try to value, I try to
Absolutely.
value people's time. You know what I mean? That's really what the most important currency is. So I try to remind people of that. And usually they come around and they'll send pictures or something, or they'll say, they'll cut me in a better deal when I get there, or any of the above. You know what I mean? But I just try to ask as many questions as possible. Send me a picture, send me a video, send them to my email, send them to my cell phone. I don't give a shit, whatever you're comfortable with, because I don't care. I'm 6'1", 6'2". I'm not really. So you can send them to me. You can come to my house, because it's not a big deal. I live in Florida, so it's whatever. You pull up.
Right. They don't want the smoke. They don't want the smoke.
They don't, right? So yeah, most of the time people are cool. It's just
Most of the time.
I've had to learn how to make sure I message properly, because I'd be like, yo, send me pictures. When I first started doing it, I'd be like, yo, send pictures. You don't have pictures posted. But now it's like, all right, you got to be a little nicer, finesse them a little
The
bit.
customer service side of it, that's actually a really, really good point of how you're communicating with people, because this could be a residual thing. This could be something that is a long-term connection. And so, I mean, the customer service side of it is, that's a good point.
Yeah, because I met a guy in Virginia, and he put me on to a guy in Chattanooga, and that's where I was at this weekend. So all of that shit matters.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Connections.
It's all about building connections. Yeah, it's all about building connections and network. You got to build a network, especially if you want to do this. Having these magazines isn't like having comic books. Everybody and their mama got comics laying around, but we have we kind of have a select clientele, so it's hard to just find the books that we want. They're not as readily available.
That's
comic books for $100 is nothing.
My next question is kind of let's say you do a pickup, and we'll talk about this towards the end, because I know you both have had some really unique finds with magazines, which is really exciting. But in the book world, we don't really, I mean, you can get things appraised, but we don't have kind of what the comic book world has, which is getting things actually formally graded, put in a slab, all of that. So when you guys come across a magazine that you think is really unique, or is a high dollar, high demand magazine, and you think it might be in good enough condition, what company do you usually like to work with, and what type of things are you looking for in that magazine? Like, obviously you don't want to send in a magazine that's got rips and tears on it. So like, how do you guys kind of handle that? Whoever wants to go first can.
I'll let Earth go first. He has way more experience with the CGC.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Well, CGC, they only grade Playboys and some penthouses I've seen graded, but they're kind of
Oh,
they're become more selective about it, but they don't grade anything outside. You know, they grade comics and cards and hell, I've seen them grade all kinds of stuff, postcards, all kinds of shit, but like they just won't grade the more risque magazines because they say because of the nudity. So
oh,
I've been trying
okay.
to work with a friend of mine to actually start a grading company for like the really crazy mags, you know what I'm saying? And like the craziest stuff that they don't necessarily like to grade, you know what I'm saying? But there are collectors out there who want it graded. So it's just
Absolutely.
starting that kind of thing costs real money, you know what I'm saying? Like WhatNot
Absolutely.
money. You know.
No, for real.
So but yeah, but as far as grading goes, I mean it just depends on the rarity of the Playboy. Like I've got tons of Playboys graded. Um, you know, I've got like 2 or 3 Trumps graded, all of the Pams graded. Uh, let me see, the Pamela Anderson 1990 issue where she's the center, not Pam, but the Anna Nicole where she's like the centerfold. I've got that one slabbed. I've got a bunch of the 50s slabbed.
Mm,
Most of the 50s because they like it. Once you grade one of the 50s Playboys, they become exponentially more expensive. You know what I'm saying?
wow.
So
So what's the
just
highest grade that you have right now, do you think? Or
I've
best
got a
grade? I
Trump
don't
that's a
know.
9.6.
Oh, wow.
I've got a 9.9 Harley Quinn oversized comic. But
Wow.
that's not like a risque magazine. But I got a 9.9. I've got hundreds of slabs. But like as far as the Playboys and stuff goes, I think I've got a Trump that's a 9.6. I've got a Pam that's a 9.6 or a 9.2. 9.8s and stuff are hard to come by because a lot of people didn't keep them as pristine. I've come across them, but I sell them faster than I be slapping them, and I
Right.
shouldn't.
Yeah,
Right. Right.
But you know,
yeah,
money be talking, and the chat be like,
yeah,
"Run that shit," and I be like, "Fuck it, run it!"
All right. All right. You guys got me hyped. I've
yeah.
been in your shows. I've been in both of your shows. I know.
right,
I've seen
right.
it.
So, right, you know, so the chat, it really depends on the chat some days too, you know. So,
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. And if you got the audience in there that's ready to spend that kind of money, I
right,
mean, why
right.
not
I've
do
sold
it?
the Trump for 350. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, I
Right.
sold the Trump for $80 too. So, like,
Mhm.
it hit different. It hit different. You know, it just
Fact.
So I remember Zaner kind of talking. Shout out Zaner, another good supporter on WhatNot and seller. Um,
facts.
I've heard him mention like thickness of magazine kind of depends where you can send it to. Is that kind of a thing?
Yes, they won't grade certain Playboys like from the '80s because they're too thick and they don't have the glass for it. Not glass, but like the plastic to slab things.
Right. Well, is there anything else that you would want to add to that? I know that you have you gotten any slab before? Did you use CGC as
See,
well?
I've been really close to getting them slabbed, but the thing is, I run every single day for like 3 hours. So I'm sitting here
Ah,
moving. I'm moving through magazines like so quickly. As
yeah.
like Earth said, I'm moving like 15 to 2,000 magazines a month.
Oh
So
wow.
honestly, sometimes I do keep some. Like I have some that I'm keeping
You
set
set
aside
aside.
that I'm
Yeah.
gonna just send off. But I haven't. If a show happens where I'm really weak, I just like to sell. So if somebody comes in and somebody asks. I may sell it. Like yesterday, I had a box full of 50s that I wasn't supposed to sell that I have like listed on another platform, but I
Uh-huh.
just delisted them and just sold them on there because it's like I just get in the mood and I
Hey,
get a good feeling and things get to going
yeah.
and good things happen. So you know,
You're a seller, not a warehouse. Yeah, so you
yeah,
don't have
exactly.
any on
So
the
so
stuff.
I don't have any right now, but I do have a box that I am sending off. That's gonna
Okay.
get
Okay.
slagged up.
That's cool. We'll make sure to stay
I've
tuned for
got
that.
boxes. of stuff that I'm supposed to send to CGC. Like even now, I've got boxes at the house. I
Mhm,
just don't either.
mhm.
I don't have the
That
time
sounds
or don't have the
familiar.
money because that
Yeah,
shit gets
yeah,
expensive. Man. Like it
yeah.
Yeah.
gets expensive real
You got to pick the
quick.
right ones. You got to pick the right
Mhm.
ones because if not, you may be just slabbing one that's worth, less than what you slabbed it for. So you got to be
Right,
careful.
That's a
right,
fact. That's a
right.
fact.
That's a good tip. That's a really, really good tip. So let's talk about one of the really unique ones that I don't know if you guys, I don't think you slabbed it because you said it was too thick, right? The Braille Playboy. You
Oh
Hmm.
both
yeah.
have experienced and have a Braille Playboy. So, STL, I'll let you go first, kind of talk about the story of how you got that and, its estimated value. And do you still have it? Are you going to sell it?
So really, I first seen the Braille on one of Earth's streams. He had one, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool." Uh, and then I'm like, a few weeks later, for some reason, I seen one on Facebook Marketplace, and they had it for a good price. I can't remember how much I paid. That's so crazy. Usually, I remember stuff like this, but I really must have paid maybe like $50, maybe something like that for it. And I think it's just like I didn't really know too much about it, but it's a really cool piece, just
Yeah,
just a really good conversation piece when somebody comes into the stream. So I will sell it, but I've just had it back there for a while now. I know people have sold them for like up to almost, I want to say, $1,000. I know I see one on eBay for like
Yeah.
850 and just different prices. And but I haven't thought about really selling it too much. I mean, it's something that is like a very cool piece to have on stream. So I really, really don't want to sell it. I price it at a point to where it's like, I kind of don't want you to buy it, but if you buy it, I'm like, okay, so it's kind of
yeah.
like at that type of deal.
All right. So look, I bought a collection last year, and it was like 50,000 magazines, and it had everything. It had
Wow.
everything. Literally, it had everything except more Braille Playboys. It had one Braille. so, so,
That is
so that's how I found it.
insane.
And yeah, I've it had that, and then it also had a briefcase. And I was like, oh, okay, this is weird, but the briefcase weighs like 50 fucking pounds, right? So I'm like, well, what's that? Like, and it's got a Playboy bunny on the cover on the outside of the outside of the briefcase, and it's like
Oh
2.5
man.
feet long. Like it's like two briefcases sitting next to each other the long way. You know what I'm saying? So it's a big
Oh
piece,
wow.
and it's pretty much a giant centerfolds book, and that's probably one of my more rare pieces as well because it's like probably $1,000, maybe 1,200,
Mm.
$1,000. And it's
Wow.
crazy. It still has the tags on it and everything. I think you could only buy it from one of the Playboy clubs, like either in Miami or I think it was in Chicago or some shit like that,
Wow.
something like that. But yeah, that's one of my more rare pieces as well, and it's pretty dope. It's pretty dope. I've had some
That
offers on it,
is
but
amazing.
so yeah, we've come across some wild stuff. You know what I mean?
And
Wild
you
stuff.
had calendars too, didn't you, in that pickup?
Oh
You had
yeah,
calendars.
calendars. I actually found I've still got it because it's probably a $300 piece, but I found like a 1940s or 1950s how do you explain it? It's like an Asian pinup, but
Mm.
it's like from Asia. You know what I'm saying? It's
Wow.
like a calendar, but it's a one-page piece, and it's like I don't know how to even describe this thing, man. I'm gonna send you a picture of it, but it's in all. I'm gonna take it somewhere and have them look at it and tell me what it says because it's got all Asian writing on it. But it's like it's got to be from the 50s. You know what I'm saying? Like it's one of the crazier pieces, and it
That's
looks like maybe a window hanger. You know what I'm saying?
right.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. Mm.
It looks like a window hanger. You know how like they'll put two pieces of like bamboo to get like one on top,
Yeah.
one on the
And
bottom,
it's
and
just
then they'll put
one. Yeah.
like just one page. It's like that,
Yeah.
and it's like 2.5 feet long.
Oh wow.
Paper's super thin, but it's like an Asian pinup lady, and it's one of the wilder pieces that I found too.
And see, like that's a good point too, because even with these magazines, when you're doing bulk pickups like this, if the content, you can find a lot of, adult and pinup style ephemera with that type of
Correct,
large
Hmm.
pickup like that. And would
correct.
you say that stuff sells just as well as the magazines do? Because I mean, they're pretty
Shit,
unique
even
pieces.
better sometimes.
Yeah, even
Okay.
better sometimes.
Like
Even better.
I did a show recently, and in my last pickup, I went to Massachusetts. I don't know, maybe 100 120 books, like hardcover books, and those sold faster than the Playboys.
Mm-hmm.
And they were all
Wow.
kinds of exotic books, from
Same.
not as risque pinups that you could, show your grandma to some shit that you can't show anybody. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So,
Yeah, not the
Right.
not the
unless your
ones that are
friends are
popular
into,
right now.
unless your friends are facts, right? Unless your friends are into that and you guys are cool, then you show them. But yeah,
Not the
Right.
romantic fiction ones that are popular right now.
Right.
I got one.
All right.
I found the first Playboy Marilyn Monroe.
Yes. Yes.
Not recently. I want to say a couple of months ago. And it was really cool. I
there
bought
we
it in a
go.
collection of 150 mags, and it was a really cool collection of 150 mags. So basically, I got it for a price where those mags paid for the full collection once I sold them, and I basically got the Marilyn Monroe basically for free at that point. And it was a really uh, cool Marilyn Monroe because it was one of the originals and not the reprint, which I did a video on my YouTube about because a lot
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
people like to sell the reprint and almost get it confused with the original. But one distinguishing feature with the original is the two staples. That's one thing you want to look for in a Marilyn Monroe first edition 1993. It has to have two staples. If it has three staples, it's the reprint. So that's a big dead giveaway for anybody that's looking out there and they're on the hunt. They come across a Marilyn Monroe and you want to see if it's an original. You may have a $1,000 to $2,000 to maybe $13,000 Playboy on your hands. So depending on the
Wow.
condition. So I
Wow.
recently sold mine for a little over 1,000, so it was great. I just moved, so
Exciting.
it was a perfect moving gift for me. So
Yeah, that is so awesome. Yeah, I saw your video about that, and I think just little clips like that are just so educational and helpful because I mean, in my experience, you never know what you're gonna find, especially
oh
when
yeah,
you're
you never know.
especially at estate sales. A lot of estate sale companies are struggling to stay in business, and so a lot of people are doing large sales privately. Like they're just not even using a company anymore in my area. And so a lot of people just aren't taking the time to look up a lot of things, and they just,
Wow.
so
Hmm.
you can find some really good deals. So that was really helpful for me, especially if I randomly happen to come across something awesome like that. But uh,
You never know.
would you say that Playgirl magazines sell, as well? We talked a lot about like Playboy, but I know there's kind of a Playgirl market as well. I don't know when that first started. Like, I don't know if there would be any from like the 50s or 60s, or if that was more of like a more modern publication. Could you maybe talk about that real quick here before we wrap up to see if Earth comes back to us or not?
If it gets back out here with us. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's a market for it for sure. Depending on who you have in stream and who do you build like your audience. What do your audience really want? I mean,
Facts.
Playgirl is more for just a niche, market. I mean, a lot of women love Playgirl and some men love Playgirl, whichever
Yeah.
floats your boat. But it's depending on who you have in stream. Like I've sold tons of them as well. It just depends on
Have you
who's
ever
in there
come
that day.
across vintage ones, or is it more like, was that more of a, I can only think like
It,
the
it's some it's some popular it's some popular stars out there that's done the covers of some of those type like Honcho and Playgirl mags, and
okay,
it's a few
Robin
popular
Williams is on the front of Kegger.
yeah, it's a few
John,
popular stars out there that
um,
that that did the cover. Popular stars, some stars. So So,
celebrities.
yeah. So, and I don't know those. I don't know them, but I've ran a couple, and people did kind of recognize them and was like, that's an old time, and they was like went crazy on it. So I was like, so I have had that happen in a couple of shows, and
Okay,
you just never know what you have sometimes.
all right. Have you like come across vintage Playboy Earth? I kind of wanted to talk about that because we mostly talked about Playboy and like that side of things, but I know Playgirl had a publication. I don't know if they're still doing it, and I don't know how far back it went. I don't know that it's as old as Playboy is, but I was just kind of curious if you knew a little bit more about that.
I do have a little bit of experience with Playgirl. I had in that collection I picked up last summer. It had like like all of them, and I don't even remember who bought them. But yeah, I mean they sell like everything else for the most part.
How far back does Playgirl probably go? Is it as old as
Ooh,
Playboy? Or?
to the I think to the 70s.
Okay.
I had some 70s Playgirls, and I know for a fact I had all of the 80s and 90s.
So it is still kind of relatively new. I mean, to me,
Yeah,
that's relatively new compared
yeah,
to how long Playboy has been around.
yeah, definitely.
So
Yeah,
that's good. That's
but
interesting. Good to know.
there are some older men's magazines that are older than Playgirl for sure, though.
Yeah,
Well, it's a hard top. I mean, you have to kind of talk about those things though, because these magazines sell, and this is how you
yep,
source. And you got to. The content is what the content is. I mean, there's
yep,
nothing you can really
Right.
do about that.
yep. It is
So
what it is.
sells, right?
The sales, sales. Exactly, exactly.
Well, I'm glad we got you back, Earth. We're going to wrap up. I appreciate your guys' time so much and your knowledge and everything that you've shared with us today. And I think that this is a really interesting market. In my opinion, you guys are like one of the very first people that I came across that was even doing this. And I think there's a few more people out there doing it now, but I think you guys have really unique streams and really unique knowledge and what you do. So I really appreciate you coming on the channel. Guys, in the description of this video, I'm going to have links to their WhatNot profiles and their social media. So please go give them a follow, check them out.
Thank you.
And they're reseller friendly. I would say you guys are both reseller friendly. So if there's
For
resellers in
sure.
the chat and they want to pay the right price, you guys sell to them as well. And is there anything else, any plugs that you guys would like to put in? When do you guys usually stream your shows? Earth, you go first.
I usually stream 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time every day for the most part.
All right. Okay. That's what's up.
Yeah.
How about you, STL?
I usually stream 4:30. Usually, what is this, Mountain Time every day out in Arizona. So, every day basically, and we come with me and Earth both always try to come with something new, hot, spicy. It's always fun.
Interesting, unique.
Yeah, interesting, unique, and
Facts.
you can check me out on my YouTube, STL Bookkeeper, and
Yep.
we got some good videos on there as well.
All right. That's what's up. All right, guys. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.